Most dementia residents don't appreciate being admitted to a dementia unit, of course, though the minority do, with the toasty warm lounges and delicious food. Many of the women spend their time at the nurses' station, calling out for their favourite sons. And there was one such woman. She was calling out for her son incessantly for weeks, until finally the staff alerted the son that she'd been calling out. He dropped tools, came down from the farm 3 hours away, came to see his mother, and from that point on was a great support. And I went to her and I said, "How are you feeling now?" And she said, "I wasn't supported before, but I am now. And it's a great help psychologically. And I hope he can feel my appreciation." So that was it. She was calmed down. She calmed down. She was settled. She'd seen her favourite son. He'd come to see her. He made the effort. And her behaviour really stabilised after that. And all it took really was after that point, that after that initial good visit, he used to ring regularly from the farm. And all it really took, she would generally just say, "How are you, dear? How's the farm? How's the weather? How's the weather?" They were the three things. And he'd answer that. And then if her behaviour had been up and down, which it sometimes was, then he'd just counsel her on that, "Try hard, mum, be good." And she'd say, "Yes, I'll try, dear." That was it. His support was there, and she knew his support was there. That was the main thing. It's such an important thing for people in dementia facilities to be able to have that contact with the person that they feel closest to and understood by. So if you're the power of attorney and you know that, say, the sister, say the daughter, say of the mother, or the sister of the brother, and you know that your mother is calling out for the son, as power of attorney, it's good to be generous enough to inform your brother of that so that he can hopefully make the effort to come and see the mother. Because even though it's good for other children to see you, it's always best if you can actually see that person you're calling out for. You're calling to that person because you feel closest to that person and you need solace from them. So in terms of the dementia unit process and being admitted and the attitude of gratitude and when and if that ever happens, the first 3 months, of course, are difficult, always difficult. And it takes so much to adjust to a dementia unit, and with all its constraints, of course. But if the person is well supported by family and they're well set up in their room, they have good quality visits, no rush time, given the time, out for plenty of walks, fresh air, etc., that all makes a big difference in the long term. And it is important to look at this as a long-term venture. Many of these people live for 5 years in dementia units. It's a long time. So they need to be set up well. So assuming the person is set up well and supported, and all this process I've gone through in these 2 books, by the way, The Resident's Voice from a Dementia Unit and The Resident's Rise from a Dementia Unit, both on Amazon. And in these videos, especially initially, the initial videos are on this. So if the person's well set up and well supported, it generally takes about 3 months before they start to settle in. That's usually at the point where they hopefully have started to make a friend or two at the unit and have started to join in the activities and find an interest there. When all that's going on, then that's when the assimilation happens. Now, at the workshops that I used to take, we would often talk about such topics as gratitude and appreciation. And at one particular workshop, which I took on this topic of appreciation, it came actually from the group, and it really is better if it comes from the group and others living there rather than you trying to alert the person to it, because they might think that's a bit of a setup. Whereas if others in the group, their colleagues and compatriots, can say, "Oh, well, it's better that we live here where it's warm and we don't have to cook and we have company and a nice room compared to living at home where it's old and cold and we have to cook for ourselves." When they hear that from others, they know that's coming from a genuine space, and they can start to think that through and think and look around and see, well, yes, it's a nice room, we are warm, we are fed very well and 3 times a day, and we have these lovely activities. So once they start to see this, observe this, hear this, and assimilate these positive perspectives, it helps so much with them being able to adjust. That's why it's so important to go to the activities and to be able to discuss these things with each other and make friends, so they can see the positive perspective from the, rosy side of the fence, so to speak. And the more they do that, the more they're able to adjust, the more depression will settle. When you're viewing things in a positive way, depression will settle, your ability to cope and your resilience will increase. So in all these ways, it's like it's a system, isn't it? It's a positive system that you're setting up for the person in the dementia unit so that they can cope and adjust and make friends, and then as a result of that, appreciate the life they're living. I mean, not that they don't want to go back to their old life, of course, all would want to if they could, but the situation they're in is as it is. They need to be there for cares because of their dementia and memory loss. And that does need to be explained well to them. It really does. Explaining about the present memory loss and saying to them, look, I know that you have past memory. I know that you can think. I know that you can understand. But present memory loss is there. And because of that, it's a risk to be able to live at home because you can't manage this, this, and this. And you can explain all the details to them as to why they came into the dementia unit and the risks and health and safety problems and the issues of getting lost and no direction orientation, or whatever the issue is. Explain the exact issue that was happening with the person as to why they were admitted, so they can understand why they're living at the unit. So once they're accepting that, oh, well, okay, I need to be here because of this problem, this memory loss problem, they've accepted that, they know that you're supporting still, they know they can still get out, get their walks in, they've got a nice room. And once they start to make 1 or 2 friends at the unit and get to enjoy the activities, hopefully, they can and do actually have a nice life in the community. But all these steps, or most of these steps, need to be in place for them to be able to do that. So I've written about these topics in both books, The Resident's Voice from a Dementia Unit and The Resident's Rise from a Dementia Unit, both on Amazon and my website below. The first half being a novel about the lives of people in these dementia residents and dementia facilities. The second half, DIY educationals on how to help people when they first go into a dementia unit, Resident's Voice, and once they're in the unit, Resident's Rise. This particularly deals with all the emotional issues of depression, anxiety, and anger, low level, moderate level, and high level, and how to deal with it. So that's particularly valuable if your family member is going through one of those aspects. So thank you for your views and support and likes, and please pass on the links. Thank you. That was better. Okay,